What's going on? This is Ryan with Automatic Comics, and up next I have a huge unboxing here. Some incredible books, over $15,000 in books here. Also going to talk about one of the tips, one of the things I really like to look for when I'm trying to find a deal on a big book. So stay tuned. Alright, so before we get started, please remember to hit that like button and hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content like this. I have a bunch of boxes that have been sitting around waiting for me to open. I've just been busy with other stuff like some of the CGC unboxings, all of that, and I haven't had time to open them. So now I've got a bunch of stuff to open at once. I think this is going to be a fun video. There are some really incredible books in here. Like I said, I'm also going to talk about a tip that I use, something that I get really excited when I see a book like this, because I think there's usually a pretty good chance I'm able to pick it up for a pretty good deal. But let's start getting into these. I'm gonna start with this one right here. I mean, pretty much all these boxes have a major book in it. This one actually has another, let's see, are there two keepers in there? No, this one has a keeper book in here for me. It's actually a book that I recently got back from CGC, and the only reason I already sold that copy of it, and the only reason I really let it go was because I knew I had another one coming in, and so, because yeah, otherwise it's a book that was on my keeper list, so I didn't really cut it from my keeper list. I just knew that I had a replacement for it coming. It is a raw book, and so I'm gonna have to send that one off to get graded. So we'll check that book out, you know, once I get the packaging and everything off here. I don't want to potentially damage anything. So this box has, I think, two raw books and one graded book. The graded book is a big one too. This is a really cool book. This is one of the, I'd call it like one of the top tier pre-code horror books. We did not talk about this one on the video that I did recently with Swagelhaus and Como, where we were talking about iconic covers, because this isn't done by one of those artists. But man, I'll show that one first, because this is a big book. This is a crazy cover if you've never seen this one before. This is Witch's Tales number 25. And it's a 3.5, pretty nice grade for this book. Another one of these black background type covers. It's actually, Lee Elias did a lot of the covers around this one, and it has kind of a Lee Elias feel to it, but it wasn't done by him. But man, just a crazy cover. I mean, you've got this creepy weirdo guy down on the bottom there, ringing the bell. He seems a little too excited about this, ringing the bell with the decapitated head there in the bell as the, like, the chime or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, Witch's Tales has some great covers in it. This is definitely the big one from the run. There's the back cover. But I picked these books up from, he's on Instagram under Pass the Mic. He was doing a live claim sale, basically with Grail Keeper's Keys and a few other people. If you haven't checked out Grail Keeper's books, holy cow, he's got some crazy books. But they were doing a live sale, and I ended up picking up a few books from him, this being definitely the biggest one. This is not the keeper for me, though. It would be close to the list, but sometimes like the really like gross out covers aren't my favorite thing. I definitely understand the appeal of them and the, you know, the demand for them, but the super gross out covers aren't always my favorite. But here, let's there you go. All right, now the second one. I had never actually seen this cover before until he took this book out, and I was just like, that is a cool cover. And I've talked about that before. That's kind of one of the ways that I judge if I'm gonna pick up like a pre-code horror book or not. And a big part of it is, how cool do I think that cover is? Does it really like appeal to me? Is it something that's either shocking or just great art, or something that I think other people are also going to like? This isn't the keeper, but this is from Atlas. This is Marvel Tales number 121. And I've talked about that, where Atlas has some really, really great covers, and this is definitely one of them. You know, you've got this zombie underneath, you know, pulling this guy into a grave. He's in a graveyard. mean, just a crazy cover. I mean, I think that these Atlas covers, they're just, I don't know, they're really, in my opinion, some of the most undervalued pre-code horror books out there right now. You know, it's got this like crease down the middle and everything. It looks like it will definitely benefit from a press. It's got, you know, kind of some waviness and all that to the cover, but yeah, Marvel Tales 121 Atlas pre-code horror book. Now, what is the book that is the new keeper for me? And it looks nice. You know, obviously I'm going to take a close look at it afterwards, like I do with every book. But yeah, you've seen me open this one recently on an unboxing video. This is Vault of Horror number 35, my favorite Johnny Craig cover, probably my favorite EC cover, and that includes Crime Suspense Stories 22, you know, the decapitation cover, all that. I mean, I just, I love how this, I've talked about this before, this book has that bit of humor into it, you know, and where you can see he's basically giving his wife the coffin for Christmas, and I just find it hilarious that he took the time to write, you know, Merry Christmas to my wife on the tag, like put the bow on it and everything. It's just, I find it to be a really funny cover, and this is a clean looking copy. You know, so obviously I can't see the back or anything right here, but there's definitely a little spine wear, that kind of thing. But it does look attached. Yeah, it does look attached, and you know, and all of that. But yeah, the central image looks really, really nice with this one. So super happy to be able to pick up another copy of this book. All right, so that was the first box. Now let's get into this one here. There's just a single book in here. This is a pretty desirable book. I'd call it a kind of like a golden age key. I picked this one up from a live claim sale that was on Elite Comics 11. I believe this was from someone on Elite Comics, goes by Stray Flexen. He also has just some incredible books. But this should be a single raw book. And take a look at this one. All right, just need to get the tape off here. So yeah. Man, that is a lot of backing boards in there. This book was not gonna bend. Let's move that tape here. So this is a classic Alex Schomburg Good Girl Art cover. I'd say you don't get many Alex Schomburg Good Girl Art type covers, but it's a lower grade copy. Don't get me wrong on that. There's definitely a ton of tanning, some little chips out of it. I wouldn't even be surprised if it was detached. But this is the Fighting Yank number 21. And so, I mean, cover is what it is. You know, it's, you've got the woman that is pretty scantily dressed on the cover. You've got the Fighting Yank jumping in through the window to save her. Someone's pulled a gun on her. But yeah, this is considered kind of like a key issue for Alex Schomburg. There's definitely, you know, some splitting and all of that on the top there. This is one I'm gonna have to think about if I want to send this one in or not. I've had a lot of issues with books that I would call, you know, fragile at the spine or brittle at the spine. With CGC, they tend to damage them worse. You know, you get much worse spine splits and all of that. So it makes me very nervous about a book like this, but still awesome cover. You know, just great Alex Schomburg cover. And you can see it's got his little signature down there, Alex Schomburg, which you don't see that too often on covers where he's actually got his name written on the cover. But yeah, Fighting Yank number 21, just a cool, rare, or relative, it's not rare, but cool golden age kind of like key cover. All right, I have one book here that I actually opened I needed the box to do some shipping. It had a certain size that I wanted, so I figured I'd just show this one too. This is Mysterious Adventures number 17. Picked this one up on My Comic Shop. They had it as a 1.0, and I think it's at least a 1.5 or a 1.8. There's a lot of water damage to it, but it's complete, it's attached, all that kind of thing. You can really see the rippling on the cover, but so at least for presentation purposes, that'll press out really well. You'd still have the water damage, obviously the staining that you'd be able to see, but you could at least make it presentable. But I really like this Mysterious Adventures run. There are a ton of great skeleton or skull covers in it, and this is just another one of them where her husband, who is dead, is she's marrying him, I guess, with this demon, and she's not all too into it. But yeah, Mysterious Adventures, if you're into skull covers, skeleton covers, definitely a great run to check out. But yeah, so you can see here's the My Comic Shop thing. Like they graded it as a 1.0, and I really don't think it's a 1.0 given that it's complete and attached and all of that. So yeah, My Comic Shop is often a little conservative in their grades, so just something to consider if you're ever buying books on there. All right, let's go for the big one here, and then I've got one more after that. So there are, I think, 3 or 4 books in here. One of them is a huge key. Another one is a pretty big key. And one of the books in here is what I wanted to talk about, where when I see a situation like this, I am usually pretty excited about it because I think I have a very good shot at picking that book up for a good deal. I have gotten a number of books like this for good prices, and honestly, I think it's ridiculous, but it's what happens. Now, let's see here. Let's see how many books are in here. Okay, there's three books in here. All right, so those are the 3 books. Let's talk about them. I got it. So first one here, this one, it's just something that I often look for, and I know that this turns off some people, but for me personally, I think this isn't what I was going to talk about as like a way to find some of these books for a good deal, but this is definitely one of the things I look for. This is Fantastic Comics number 6. This is a Joe Simon cover from 1940. You call it like a good girl art bondage type cover. I don't know what that torture machine is supposed to be. It's like a drill that's on fire. that's pretty nuts. And then she's also in this like clamp thing that's gonna just smush her or something. But this is a character called Samson, and these books are super rare, like super rare books. And I see this one was graded recently. It's actually got the barcode or the QR code on the back there. But this one has brittle pages, and I've talked about that a lot of times, where when you're getting into extremely rare books like this, brittle pages don't matter to me. I mean, I had somebody that commented that they said, it's like, oh, but it'll disintegrate in 80 years. And I'm like, that 80 years is not a time frame that I'm overly concerned about. I'm not even going to be here in 80 years unless there's some major change in technology. But I mean, I've also found that brittle page books often have amazing colors. I don't know if it's because of some of the browning or something like that, or what I've also noticed is that brittle doesn't mean the whole book is brittle. Brittle means that some of the book is brittle. You'll have some brittleness to the pages. It could be the whole book is brittle, but it could be a small little section. And so just because you have some brittleness, which could be, say in the corners down here, it's usually often in like corners, there's probably some brittleness down here where it got wet. It does not mean the entire book is just crumbling apart. I've had brittle books that I've gotten graded that I can flip through them just fine, see the art, flip through the pages, all that kind of stuff, and they come back brittle. It doesn't mean everything is crumbling, but super rare book. 2.0, brittle pages, amazing colors on this copy, and I felt like I got this one for a great price. I don't remember exactly what I paid, but great price considering how rare this book is. So I was really happy to get this one. But that's one thing, if you're looking at Golden Age books, if you're looking at really rare books, I mean, just don't worry about page quality. I mean, I've shown that where there have been huge records set with brittle page books. It just, when there's only a few copies out there in existence, can't really afford to be picky with certain things like that. That's when things like restoration also become very acceptable to collectors, because you're just like, I'll take what I can get with certain books like that. Now, this next one, this is the biggest key in all of these boxes. This is a huge key. I have had this book one other time. I honestly didn't think I'd be able to really have a chance to pick up another copy of it, so very excited to get this. This is Detective Comics number 225. If you are not familiar with this book, this is the first appearance of Martian Manhunter, one of the original Justice League members. I mean, a major DC character. And from 1955, you would technically call that the Golden Age, even though it does have the Comics Code Authority. It's right on that edge of Silver Age and Golden Age. But yeah, it is an unassuming cover. He is not on the cover, but this is Martian Manhunter's first appearance, origin and first appearance of John Johns, Martian Manhunter. But yeah, who did make his appearance in the Snyder cut of Justice League, but did not make it into the original cut. But yeah, 5.0, really nice presenting copy. Not any real big creases, just like a little one down here. But overall, very nice presenting copy of this book. Someone did a little math down in the back there, but yeah. So this was a cool book to be able to pick up. So I was excited to be able to get that one. I do not see that one pop up very often, especially not in a pretty nice grade. I mean, a 5.0 is a nice mid-grade copy of that. Now, this book here, this is the example or the book for what I love to see come up for sale, because I have been able to pick up some amazing rare books for deals because of this. So another book I've had a copy before. I've sold it this year. I did not think I'd be able to get another copy. This is Action Comics number 19. This is the first issue where the Superman continuous covers start. So from this point on, you have Superman covers. Prior to that, it would be a mix. You would have Superman covers every once in a while. Sometimes they wouldn't be. But awesome war cover. It's not technically a World War II cover, but you could assume that that's what what it's referring to. It's in 1939. It's in the era right around when World War II was starting, and you got just amazing colors on this one. One of the things I love about these early Action Comics is you've got the big logo. With Detective Comics, the really early ones, and Action Comics, that's when people are talking about big logo books. This is what they're talking about. We're going to take up a huge percentage of it. I also really like how they do the 10 cents. I love that angular shape that they use for the 10 cents, because a little later, I think it's in the late 20s, the issue 20s, it switches to a circle, which I don't like. The visual appeal of that I don't like as much, but the 10 cent, and the angle, little diamond in there looks so cool. Now this one, there's missing a piece out of the back here, so there's that piece missing out here. But what am I talking about with what I love to see? And it's the fact that this is a CBCS book, and it's a super rare Golden Age book graded by CBCS. Now I know this will upset some people, all that kind of thing, but CBCS books sell for less. There is less demand for them, especially at auction. Now, when you're talking about fixed price, that's not necessarily true. You have people that have time to think and go, oh yeah, I'm buying this comic. I'm willing to pay that much for this comic. I'm not buying the case around this comic. But auctions tend to be very emotional. And so this was a CBCS big book at auction. And I think I picked this, took some notes for this one. I picked this one up for $1,680. The last 1.8 sold for $3,500, and I know because it was mine. And then a 1.5 sold this year for $3,100. A 0.5 sold in May of last year for $1,500. And so to have this, that it might not get a 1.8, I think it'll be close, but I'm 100% getting this regraded by CGC. Say I get a 1 or a 1.5, it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm so far ahead on this book because it's just like in that emotional auction state, people see this CBCS book and think, I don't want it. And this is also, if you have never seen, this is one of CBCS's older labels. This is it's called the Rivet label. It is the worst label ever created. And it was only around for like 6 months. And it's just the worst. It's such a terrible design. But yeah, this, so I mean, when I see a rare Golden Age book in a CBCS case, I'm watching that book. Now, it doesn't always work out that way. There was that Dynamic Comics that sold in the pre-code horror auction a couple weeks ago that I was talking about. I think it was in the pre-code horror auction that I've talked about, or I put a picture up on Instagram that sold for a huge record. It was a monster sale. Was, I think, a Brittle Page book too, and that was CBCS. But I have had a number of cases where this is something you really want to look for. And again, it's got to be auction. I mean, fixed price, like I said, fixed price people have a chance to actually really look at it and think like, oh yeah, I'm buying that book. I'm not buying this piece of plastic. But auctions, you know, people make emotional decisions, and that's when you can find some really, really great deals, especially with this. So keep an eye out for CBCS auctions. You will often find some deals. All right, now the last one here. Okay, so these were 4 books. Let's remember, these were 4 books that I picked up during the Heritage Pre-Code Horror and Crime auction that they had a couple weeks ago. And one of the books in here, I think I got the best deal out of every book that sold in that auction in this box. I think I have the book that is the best deal that happened in that entire auction. I was pretty surprised that I was able to get this book for what I did. I was very happy about getting that one. It's from a run that, I said this before, it's not like I'm trying to put that run together, but I've ended up having quite a few books from that run. So this is from Heritage. They always pack stuff really well. There's 3 raw books and 1 graded book. So we'll do the graded book first. On Instagram, Polanski, I've talked to him before. I picked up a few books from him, including that Underworld Crime 7 right back there. He had a really nice copy of this that I had been thinking about buying from him for a while, and I ended up not doing it. And this one came up on the Heritage auction. I ended up picking it up. But this is Ventures into Darkness number 6. This is kind of funny. I have 2 books where you have the other one is the man is the skeleton marrying the wife. This one, the woman is the skeleton marrying the dude in the graveyard. But yeah, pretty crazy cover, black background. One that I think this book goes for less than I would expect, because I think it's some really cool cover content, cool cover. You've got the black background, which is always usually really appealing for these books. I like the color of the Adventures into Darkness, this kind of like green that's there. Yeah. 4.0, light tan to off-white pages. It's kind of an interesting jump. Usually it would be like light tan to cream or something like that, but light tan to off-white pages. And actually, you know, presents pretty well. No real big creases or anything in the center. So, awesome book. So yeah, that's the first one. And now I've got the 3 raw books. So I'm actually gonna cut real quick and I will come back, because I'm just gonna move these into different bags so they're a little easier to see, because Heritage always puts these stickers on the front that makes them hard to see. All right, I'm back. I've got these books into Mylars, look really nice, super happy with these. And let's go through these 3 remaining books I picked up from that crime and pre-code horror specific auction. The next 2, kind of 3, I'd say, are almost like crime books. First one here is Crime Does Not Pay, number 36. I've just always thought this is a crazy cover. Whenever I see it, I mean, you've got bodies over here hanging out of this diner that are all bloody. You've got this guy who's been like shot in the eye or stabbed in the eye or something. You've got in this case, it's the woman in the red dress, but she's like a villain in this one, running around shooting at the cops. You've got cops back here. I mean, there's a lot going on this cover. There are some pretty crazy covers in the Crime Does Not Pay run. And yeah, I've always thought this cover is just nuts. And so felt a chance to pick it up for a reasonable price. So decided to pick that one up. Then we've got Crime Mysteries number 11. And this one is just this crazy like Strangler cover. I had never seen this cover before until I was watching one of Polanski's live sales, and he had, I think it was a graded copy of this one. But But yeah, you can see she thinks she's safe, but she is standing in the wrong place. Looks like she's going to be in a little bit of trouble. But yeah, you've got kind of that good girl art type cover, but then also, you know, this crime cover. Something bad is about to happen on this one. But yeah, Crime Mysteries number 11. Just cover that. I saw it on that sale, and when I saw it pop up on this one, decided to pick it up. Now the last one. This is the one that I felt like was one of the best deals of that entire auction. This one will come back probably restored, either restored or conserved, one or the other. But when you are talking about a book that has 12 copies on census, you don't really worry about that. You know, like I was saying earlier in the video, like there's certain things you just overlook because of that. So this is Suspense Comics number 2. I've shown a few books from this run recently. I picked up a copy of Suspense Comics number 1. I have shown, I think, my Suspense Comics number 4. I have issues 8, 9, and 11. I've owned issue 5 before, but I ended up selling that one. But this is issue 2. This one is extremely rare. You do not see this book come up hardly ever. The issue is that kind of on the spine, there's this tape here, but on the interior, it's like some, I think they call it like rice tape, something like that. I think that's what was described in the listing from Heritage, and you know it lights up when you when you hit it with the black light. I checked to confirm I have my black light here. This is the black light I use, this monster. My buddy Jake from Spec Tales podcast, his presser it's this brand called Cobra. His presser uses this one to identify, you know, restoration, and it just, I mean, this thing is a beast. It works very, very well. It really lights everything up. So, but yeah, I confirmed that is there. But I mean, this book only cost on that auction, I got it for $432. Now I'm going to talk about universal prices here, but a 1.5 sold a year ago in October for $15.60. A 2.0 sold in October last year for $19.20, and a 3.0 sold for $3,120. I mean, this is a book that in low grades, it's just so valuable still because it is so rare. Now it's got a little piece out of the cover here, but it almost blends in with it because of the wall that's behind that guy's leg. But yeah, Suspense Comics number 2. Suspense Comics 3 is one of the books that I would love to own someday and probably never will because it is so prohibitively expensive. But I have been able to, over time, come across other issues from that run and pick those up. Some of the later ones you'll come across a little more often. Like I think issue 9 comes up every once in a while. But 8 and 11 they're 2 of the top covers in the run, and so people just don't let those go. Like that is 8 up there, and it's one of my keeper books. But yeah, man, Suspense Comics number 2, $432. Just felt like the biggest steal of that auction, so I was super happy to be able to pick that one up. Actually, what I can show you real quick is what it looks like on the black light when you light these kind of things up. So I want to be careful with it. I mean, I think this is an example. I think they said it was like, they called it brittle pages, but I mean, look at this. I mean, it's still, there might be some bit of brittleness in there, but it's still very, I mean, the pages are still very easy to flip through. I don't see any pieces, you know, like flaking off or anything like that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think they called it brittle pages though, but let's see if I can, this is where I want to do this without causing any problems with the book. So here's the opening splash page, which is a pretty cool opening splash page. And here, let's see here. Just want to be careful with this because I don't want to, I mean, it's a low grade book. It's probably going to come back like a 1 or a 1.5. But I want to be able to show this because I think that would be helpful. Okay, well, I tried to get it where I could position it where you can see it, but I couldn't. So what I'm going to do is I'll take a picture of it, and I'll pop a picture up kind of over here or on the screen so you can see how it lights up. Just so you can get an idea what, you know, when you shine a black light on something, if you see something like this, that you know that there's some type of adhesive or something like that that's on the book, and that's an immediate sign that it has restoration on it. But like I said, I knew this had restoration on it. It was reported as having that, but such a rare book, I do not care. But that was all the books. I got a huge pile of boxes and bubble wrap and all this over here that I got to clean up. Hope you enjoyed this video, saw some rare books, got a tip for something to look for if you're trying to pick up some of those rare Golden Age books. CBCS auctions, they are often a place where you can find some deals. So again, if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content like this. I've got more videos over here if you'd like to watch some of my other videos, and the subscription button right here. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, I'd really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next video.